Hi, in this particular video we will discuss about the evolution of management thoughts. It is very essential to know that how the management has evolved over a period of time, and also to know about the path in which the management has taken a different shapes, and how exactly the management today that we will be discussing in this particular video. Okay, so organization need a process for developing the skills of their managers, because every manager is accountable for effectively and efficiently utilization of the man, material and the machineries. Hence the organizational growth can happen if the manager is been having a good skills to convert these man, material and the machineries into a productivity. So in some of the other form of concept, the management is existing since from the civilization. However, the industrial revolution, it has underwent a radical change. There are a lot of changes after the industrial revolution, that too especially after the World War II. There is a lot of reforms had happened in the management and the management thoughts. Okay, so let us see the different stages, how exactly the management has evolved. It is broadly divided into 4 stages. The first stage is the pre-scientific approach. Second one is early classical approach. Third one is neoclassical approach, and the last one is the modern approach, what we have today. Okay, let us discuss about the pre-scientific approach in detail. So whenever we take the history into consideration, there are 4 things which comes into the important. The first is the name of a person who has invented the research or who have invented the management thoughts, and second is the time period in which he has done it, and what is the thing that he has implemented and how he has implemented, and what is the end results. These are all the 4 steps that is involved in any of the history or in any of the management thoughts. So I have covered it very briefly here. Very briefly I have given you the name of the person or the time period in which he has invented or he has done that particular research, and the what he has done and what is the end result. I have given it in very brief here in this particular section. Okay, so thousands of years ago, the Egypts, the Chinese, Greeks, Romans and Hindu philosophers wrote extremely interesting books and profound the theories which are followed even today. Okay, so the Egypts, if you take it, example the pyramids. The Chinese, if you take it, the Great Wall of China. Greeks and the Romans, that is a church which they had. Hindu philosophy, if it comes to the Hindu philosophy, it is a Chalukya which has given the very good approach towards the management. Okay, so in the 1800s, the management theory is developed as a scientific field of knowledge. So the contributors who thought about the management, who discussed about the management factors, have been discussed further. Adam Smith is the first person where we can able to see, that is between 1723 to 1790. He is the father of economics. He is the first person to identify the specialization and the division of labor at the workplace, which can improve the productivity. His main focus is on the specialization. That means dividing the work into small pieces and giving the individual piece to an individual worker, so that he will be doing every day the same job, such that he can able to get the specialization, so that he can able to improve the productivity in the organization. That's what is the Adam Smith contribution towards the management. The next person is the Charles Babbage. It is between 1791 to 1871, he introduced the methods like work measurement, how to measure the work, the two process of doing it, how to assign the work to the different peoples, the cost determination, that means what work has to be done by whom, how much cost is involved in that, what is the cost versus the productivity that he is going to get, he has analyzed. He has also done the bonus plan, that means if he completes the work in time, what bonus can be given, or how the profit that the organization earns can be shared between the workers and the management to improve the productivity. He has also concentrated towards the productivity of the organization. Okay. The next person, James Montgomery, it is between 1771 to 1854. His contribution, he was a textile mill owner and he has also contributed towards the productivity of an organization, but his focus was on planning, organizing, controlling the work so that he can able to increase the productivity. Okay, he is the one who said that about the how to do the planning at the workplace, how to do the organize the employees and the missionaries at the workplace, how to control them so that the productivity can be increased. All these three persons, okay, have thought only about the productivity, how to increase the productivity, how to increase the production of the organization. The Robert Owens, it is between 1771 to 1858. He is the father of personal management because he is the first person who thought about the personal, that is the peoples at the workplace. He started thinking. His emphasis was on the division of labor. According to him, if the work conditions and the needs of the worker are satisfied, automatically the organization goal will be achieved. Okay, so that is what he has concentrated, or he has stressed upon the needs of the worker and the wants of the worker. Okay, the conditions and the needs of the worker are to be satisfied according to him. Okay, next is the Henry Robinson. It is between 1841 to 1924. He urged the combination of the engineers and the economist. He said engineers not only sufficient for an organization, but an economist should be there within an engineer so that the manager can able to increase the organization productivity. Okay, the combination of quality and skill of accounting is essential for the successful management of any industry. If at all any organization or any management has to see the profit, has to see the growth, he said that it is not only the engineer is sufficient, engineer along with the economist is very much essential within a human being. That's what his theory says. The next is the early classical approach. In the early classical approach, it is based on the emphasis have an economical and physical needs. Okay, here not only the productivity has been taught, here not only the various conditions has been taught, here the economical and physical needs of the employees have been taught in this particular era or in this particular time period, which was a social need, and the need for job satisfaction are unimportant. There are three theories which is in force in this particular time period. That is a bureaucracy theory and administrative theory and the scientific theories. Let us discuss about the bureaucracy theory, what bureaucracy theories have said and how exactly the bureaucracy theory have been developed over a period of time. According to the Max Weber, the bureaucracy theory during the 19th century was the most efficient way to set up organization and the administration. He said that it is not only the organization, setting up an organization is important, setting up an organization along with the administration is very important. According to him, the bureaucratic organization, everyone is treated equal and the division of labor is clearly described for each employee. With the division of labor, he can able to do the good administration. With the treated equally, the organization can able to run in a efficient way. That is what is the bureaucracy theory, the approach of the bureaucracy theory. Next is the administrative theory. According to the Henry Fayol, during 1841 to 1925, the functions in an organization can be divided into 6 categories. That is technical, commercial, financial, security, accounting and managerial. These 6 areas are very important. These 6 areas are very essential for an organization to control. Or he also went on saying that the theory have 14 principles of management. Under the 14 principles of management, that first one is the division of work, authority and responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, subordination of individual interest to general interest, remuneration to the personnel, the centralization, scalar chain, order, equity, stability to tenure, the initiative, the SRD corps. These are all the very, very important 14 principles, he said. Out of this, even today we practice these principles, these management principles which is given by the Henry Fayol. Scientific management theory, it was F.W. Taylor proposed this management theory or the management thought. He was the chief engineer in the Middle Steel Company, that is Middlewell Steel Company, published a book called the Scientific Management in 1911. According to him, he replaced the rule of thumb with science. That means he didn't believe in the thumb rule. He said the scientific division of work is more important. They divide the work based on the employee capability, employee willingness, based on the employee physical attitude. So hence he brought the science into the management. He brought the ergonomics into the management. He increased the productivity by scientific methods of production. Divide the authority and responsibility. So authority and responsibility has been divided and he has given it. He said that authority and responsibility both should go together, because if you give authority and if you don't give the responsibility, he will skip out from the job. He will do only the authority. He doesn't accountable for the work which has to be completed. Hence, he said that division of the authority and the responsibility, how much to be given for at every levels of the organization, is more important. Created more harmony among the employees, the improved pay for the workers. That means giving a good pay package, giving the facilities like the DA, HRA, PA and all these things he started giving it. He is supported by the Henry Grant, Frank and Lillian Gilbert. That is, Lillian Gilbert is called as the mother of management. Oh, sorry, that was in the neoclassical approach. Under the neoclassical approach, it is an extended version of classical theory. Here the Hawthorne studies were the most important study which has been given a good thought about the management, how the individual peoples will behave at workplace, and human revelation and the behavioral approach has evolved during this particular time period. That is an extension of a classical approach. That is a neoclassical approach what you have. So the neoclassical approach is an extension of a classical approach, and these 3 experiments were major role. That is the experiments which is conducted at Hawthorne. That is a place it is a place where the experiments have been conducted at a Western Electric Company. Okay, it is then the human relation and the behavioral approach was evolved during this particular time period. And let us discuss about the Hawthorne studies. The Elton Mayo conducted the famous experiment at Hawthorne plant of Western Electric Company between 1924 to 1932. The study revealed the influence of social attitudes and the relationships of work groups on performance. So his entire study between 1924 to 1932, he said he could able to conclude that the social attitude of the peoples, or the social attitude or the group workers performance, will have a relation with respect to each other. Okay, the first experiment that he did in this particular company in the during the 1924 to 27 is the elimination experiment, where he concluded to the study the effect of elimination and the productivity. So he started doing an experiment with respect to the elimination and the study. He took the two groups, and one group he called as a test group, other one is a normal group. So he started varying the elimination at the workplace, and his theory, according to his theory, he was expecting that as he decreases the elimination, the productivity will also decreases. But to the his this one, he has seen that the reverse has happened. As he decreases the elimination, the productivity went on increasing. So this has made him to think why it has happened, why these things has happened. He has sent his research work, or the results of his research work, to the Harvard School of Business, and from there the other peoples, that is some more scholars, have come from there, and they have started doing the understanding the doing other second and the third phases, where they started conducting the experiments. Okay, so in the second phase, during 1927 to 28, relay assembly test room experiments to study the effect of change in the working hours and the other working conditions on the productivity. They went on changing. That is a series of assembly plant where they have to assemble the test rigs. Okay, so in that place they have changed the various working hours. That is, every 2 hours they started giving half an hour break. Every half an hour of work, 10 minutes of break they started giving. Instead of giving only the lunch break, they have started giving even the different working hours, and they also started making the working hours from the morning 6 o'clock to night 12 o'clock. All these variations they have done, and they have series of experiments has been conducted to know that how the working group will do the change, the working conditions will have any effect on the productivity. Yes, they have to their research, they have found a lot of productivity. They have found a lot of results with respect to their work, and they have said that every 1.5 hour of time they should be given a small break. They should be given a pit break has to be given for an employee, so that he can able to rejuvenate himself, or he can able to come back to the work with a full efficiency. And the third phase, it is between 1928 to 1930. They have started, that is a mass interviewing the programs to determine the workers' attitude and the sentiments. That is, they used to call the workers, and they started asking about the attitude of the employees and also the sentiments what they have in the organization, because they wanted to know the human side of at the workplace. Hence they started the working on the attitudes of the employees and also the sentiments with respect to the employees. They started working, and whether they have any effect with respect to the organization they have studied. And the fourth phase is between 1930 to 32, bank wiring observation room experiments to determine and analyze the social organization at the workplace. Here there are various peoples from the different places they have brought in, and they have made a small groups, and the one from the South India, one from the North India, one from the Karnataka, and one from the Andhra. Like that, they have started making a different groups among themselves, and they started working on them, and they started giving the work with respect to that, because they wanted to see that whether the individual or the social group can have an effect on the organization or on the management. So these experiments have a lot of implications of Hawthorne studies have been listed out in that. That is the social factors in output. So they wanted to see what social factors will have an impact on the output. Group influence, whether the group influence can be made as the general influence. That's what they wanted to say. That is, if more number of peoples are there who belong to the same group or same community or same cadre or the creed, so they wanted to make them to work, and they want, if that group influences the other small groups or not, they wanted to study, and whether the conflicts occur between the groups, how to solve that conflicts, how to evolve that particular conflict, how to make them to think in a direction where the organization can lead to a successful goal. That's what they have studied here. And the leadership and supervision and the communication, on all these things they have done a enormous research, and they have given a good contribution towards the management in the Hawthorne studies. The next is the human relations and the motivational approach. The human relations and the approach is a social and psychological approach. Till this time, the Hawthorne experiments used to do the social and used to do the behavioral or group behavior or the individual behavior of a person, but here it is approached is even the psychological approach has also brought in. So the major contributors towards the human relations are the McGregor, Maslow's, Elton Mayo, Mary Parker were the main contributors to develop the human relation movement in the organization. The human relations approach was focused on the teaching people management skills without conflicts and clash in the organization, as against the technical skill. Not only the technical skill, teaching the technical skill is important. Along with the technical skill, even the management skills also should be taught, such that the work can be done without any conflict and the clash in the organization. The last in this particular era is the behavioral approach. The behavioral science approach, the employees are treated on a social science, that is psychology, sociologists and the anthropologists. These three peoples have come together, that is the psychology, the sociologists and the anthropologists. These three peoples have come together and they started studying the behavior of an individual person or behavior of a group in an organization, how it going to affect the organization. They have studied in this particular approach. So the significant contributors from several sociologists and the psychologists like Maslow's, McGregor, agrees, the Husbergs, Likert and the J.G. Likert, they are the father and the son who have contributed towards that, has developed in this approach. The behavioral science approach lies in the following aspects of human behavior, motivation, leadership, communication, the participative management and the group dynamics. They have given their contribution with respect to the human behavior, the motivation, leadership, communication, the participative management and the group dynamics. All these aspects they have taken and they have done the studies, they have done the research in this particular areas, and they have given that how these things has to be improved at the workplace has been given here. And the last that you have in this particular history of management is the modern approach. So this is modern approach after the World War II. Whatever the approaches that we have, we call that as a modern approach, that is after 1930. The Charles Bernard has explained the modern view of management. He considered the individual, that is every individual person in the organization has to be studied well, has to be understood well, and the entire organization, not only these two peoples, even the supplier who supplies to him, even the customer who utilizes their product, all of them, he call it as a entire management has a part of environment. That means one particular environment in which all these peoples will come, they have to be analyzed properly, they have to be addressed properly, they should have a good system approach between them. That is what the modern approach says. Okay, so modern approach includes the qualitative approach, the system approach, and the contingency approach, are the three major types that you have in the modern approach. Let us see the qualitative approach that you have. Qualitative approach is basically the British have formed this qualitative approach. Here the operational research team with the mathematicians, physicists, and the chemists have come together. That is, this approach has come into the existence during the Second World War, where there the systems has to be where the war, that is operation research, have come into the existence, where the management science approach, decision theory approach, and the operation research have come into the existence. Even today we study all these things, that is the management science approach, the decision theory approach, and the operation research we study. This plays an important role even today in the organization. Okay. The next is a system approach. During the 1951, Weber's has developed the concept of system control by the information feedback. Here till now they never used to take the information feedback, that means the receiving system, the information feedback, they never used to take it. Now the Weber is the first person who have taken the information feedback along with the system control. The system approach attempts to determine the periodical relationship between the situation, action, and outcome. It is every stage they take the feedback. Nowadays it is a 360-degree feedback we take. Okay, why do we take that particular 360-degree feedback? Is to know the relationship between the situation, action, and the outcome which they are getting. This plays an important role in the system approach. The theory tells us what the activity of any part of an organization affects the activity of every other part of the organization. Like if there is a problem in the production, it will affect the finance. If there is a problem in the finance, it affects the marketing. If there is a problem in the marketing, it affects even the production and the finance. All these things there will be an cascading effect that you will be having. That means one will have an effect on the other. If there is any problem in one of the department, either in the production or in the finance or in the marketing or in the quality, that will affect on the other part of the organization. That's why every individual part is important in a system approach. Contingency approach. It is the contingency approaches stresses that there is no one best style of leadership approach which suit every situation. That means every situation varies, every organization varies. The peoples of North India varies with respect to the peoples of South India. The attitude varies, the culture varies. Depending on all these things, there is no one best style of leadership which exists. It keeps changing depending on the environment, technology, risk, and the people who are working in the organization. The management must be aware of the complexity and the trying to determine what would work best in a particular situation. So the management should, based on the complexity, based on the different technology which they are using, based on the environment, based on the risk which is involved at the workplace, based on the people's mental attitude and the cultural attitude, the organization should change the management style, and the organization need a process of developing the skills of their managers, and these employees direct and organize the work and employees effectively and efficiently for the organizational growth. Okay, hence we have to develop the manager's skill so that it to any working culture or any area that he is working, or any group of people who is working, should be in a position to extract the work effectively and efficiently in the organization. So with this we are going to complete the management and the theory of management. Okay, thank you.